50 million years ago, India was a massive, isolated island. After breaking away from Africa, this landmass spent millions of years drifting north. Beneath the surface, rising magma propelled the plate at an increasing velocity until it slammed into Eurasia with enough force to rearrange the globe. The sheer pressure of that tectonic collision caused the Earth's crust to buckle and thrust skyward, creating the Himalayas. This massive new wall immediately altered the regional climate, trapping monsoon winds that previously blew straight across the continent. Heavy rains began to drench the thirsty ground, while melting snow from the new peaks carved out river systems like the Ganges and the Narmada. Over countless millennia, a barren, rocky terrain was flooded with fresh water and transformed into a lush, fertile jungle. Inside this dense greenery lived the first masters of the land. If you walked through these early forests, you would find the giant ancestors of modern animals. Creatures like the stegodon, a colossal elephant with 10-foot-long tusks that shook the ground with every step. In this primordial Indian landscape, survival favored the massive. When every encounter was a test of strength against giant predators or rivals, physical brawn was the primary evolutionary currency. Roughly 1.5 million years ago, Homo erectus arrived in India. These early ancestors were built for a brutal environment. Robust, heavily muscled hominids with thick bones and powerful jaws. Their large bodies required a high-calorie intake, which they secured by hunting the biggest, slowest game along the riverbanks. They relied on brute force, using heavy stone hand axes to crush and butcher massive prey. For over 1 million years, they dominated the subcontinent until a disaster struck thousands of miles away. On the island of Sumatra, the Toba supervolcano detonated, ejecting so much ash into the atmosphere that it blotted out the sun over India and triggered a sudden, plunging volcanic winter. As the jungles died and large animals vanished, Homo erectus faced a fatal crisis. Their large, muscular bodies demanded too much energy to survive on meager rations. Their heavy stone axes were too slow to strike the small, agile prey that remained, and they lacked the cognitive foresight to plan or store food for the prolonged cold. The physical traits that made them apex predators became their greatest liability. Unable to adapt their strategy to the changing climate, the muscular first masters of India faded into extinction. The global cooling eventually impacted Africa as well. Shrinking forests pushed Homo sapiens, a physically weaker species, to the edge of survival. About 65,000 years ago, groups of our direct ancestors began to leave their home in search of new resources. They reached the edge of the Red Sea and, using crude rafts made of wood and bamboo, pushed their families out onto the waters of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Many were lost to the sea. Those who reached the other side clung to the coastline, surviving on fish and shellfish as they crept slowly eastward for thousands of years. Eventually, their descendants reached the borders of a rejuvenated Indian subcontinent. They had found a fertile land, but it was dangerous. In the open plains of Africa, predators could be seen from a distance. In the dense Indian jungle, hunters could be ambushed from every shadow. For these travelers, sleeping in the open meant certain death. They solved the problem by seeking natural fortresses. In the rock shelters of Bhimbetka, they found towering stone walls that protected them from the monsoon rains, the cold, and nocturnal predators. They reinforced these shelters with fire. A burning hearth at the cave entrance served as a security barrier that no animal dared cross. It also acted as a central hub where the tribe could bond, share knowledge, and care for their sick. The combination of the cave's natural walls and the hearth's constant heat shifted the requirements for survival. Individual muscle mattered less than the ability to manipulate the environment and maintain a coordinated group. The tribe still faced the same hunting problem that destroyed their predecessors. The slow, lumbering giants were gone. In their place were fast-moving deer and birds that could easily outrun a human or dodge a heavy stone axe. Hunters began experimenting with the physics of stone impact. They moved away from heavy smashing and started pressure flaking, systematically chipping away at rocks to peel off long, thin flakes with razor-sharp edges. These tiny blades, or microliths, were glued onto wooden shafts using tree resin to create projectile spears and arrows. This weaponized reach. For the first time, a hunter could remain motionless in the shadows and let the projectile close the gap. By striking from a distance, humans bypassed the need to outrun the prey, replacing physical sprinting with ballistic speed. This problem-solving extended into symbolic thought. Deep inside the Bhimbetka caves, humans began documenting their environment. Using red minerals and pigments, they painted the very animals they hunted directly onto the stone. These intricate murals were likely more than just observations. By capturing the image of the prey on the cave ceiling, they may have been practicing a form of early magic or prayer, believing that by mastering the image, they could master the hunt. The transition from specialized tools to symbolic art represents a shift in focus. Humans were no longer strictly reacting to the world. They were documenting and interpreting it. 9,000 years ago, a new observation changed everything. Humans realized that by planting seeds, they could produce a steady food supply in one place, ending the need to constantly follow animal migrations. This agricultural stability eventually exploded into the Indus Valley civilization. 5,000 years ago, while much of the world lived in tribal camps, India was home to the most advanced urban society of the ancient era. Excavations reveal a deep commitment to urban planning. These cities followed a strict grid system, with streets intersecting at precise right angles. This centralized organization extended to their building materials. Every single brick across hundreds of miles followed a uniform 4:2:1 mathematical ratio. They applied this engineering to public health, designing covered drainage systems and public baths. By using natural bitumen tar to waterproof their masonry, they proved they could manage water and sanitation with a level of precision that wouldn't be seen again for millennia. The Indus Valley was proof that mental organization and standardized engineering could conquer the environment far more effectively than brute force ever could. The evidence of this strategic mindset continues to appear further east. In the Ganges Plains, recent excavations at Sonauli have provided a look into a more martial era of Indian history. Archaeologists have unearthed copper-hilted swords and true two-wheeled war chariots, demonstrating a highly developed system of manufacturing and warfare. These artifacts mirror the descriptions of tactical combat and legendary chariots found in the Mahabharata, connecting the archaeological record to the great Indian epics. The journey from vulnerable travelers crossing an ocean to the master engineers of grid cities and war chariots defines our history. It shows that while brawn may rule for a season, humanity's most enduring weapon is the mind.